Deaddrawgaming. Like no one ever was.
What's up, YouTube? Deaddrawgaming back again today for something super special. We are here for the DDG DeckLab. Your host, me, Dan. So two things. One, if you don't know what the DeckLab is, make sure to head on over to Deaddrawgaming.com. Go to PTCGO articles, click on the DeckLab. The DeckLab is actually an article program that we have over at Deaddrawgaming.com, where three of our pro team players, Kyle, Cody, and Cam, go in, give you different lists, give you the reasons why the 60 cards are included in the list, and tell you about some of their matchups. All of our articles are 100% completely free. There is no paywall, which is the best part. But I am going to be doing some deck labs here for YouTube. I'm very excited, holy words, very excited to be starting this series with you guys today. And the first, we're going to be doing 8 decks. So the 8 decks that we are starting with, right, is going to be the 8 decks that we take into the meta matchup. You guys are probably sitting like, what? The meta matchup? What's that? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I am going to tell you the meta matchup is something that was brought to you by the genius mind of the one and only Purple Cliff. So if you guys don't know who Purple Cliff is, make sure to check him out. Twitch.tv/PurpleCliff. He is a primarily PTCGO streamer. Every once in a while he splashes a couple things in there, but his Twitch link will be in the description below, as well as his YouTube link in the description below. So the meta matchup is a gauntlet style TCGO. I don't want to say tournament, but match, right? So each player, me, which I am getting to do, and all these videos are coming after we do the meta matchup live, but the VOD will be on YouTube on Purple Cliff's channel, so you can always go check it out if you're interested in the way that it works. But I am coming at you. I'm going to be making a deck lab for all 8 decks that I am taking in. But each of us will get to take in 8 decks and then ban 2 of the decks that the other person chose from the person playing. So it'll actually end up being a 6v6, where we play a best 2 out of 3 matches with each deck that we go in. And when you lose with one of those decks, that deck is eliminated, gone forever, and you can't play it anymore. And you keep going until the first person to lose all of their decks is out. Then you're done. The other person wins. So, like I said, I'm going to be doing just a little video for you guys on all 8 of these decks to kind of just explain what we're looking at with all the decks, what we're looking for, what we're playing, how we're going to play it, and then give you a short little matchup of how the deck is supposed to work. So the first one we're going to look at, probably the least meta of all of the decks, is going to be this. This is Kingdra. So Kingdra has this 2 very, very neat attacks, and this did come out in the most recent Burning Shadows expansion. So Kingdra is a Stage 2 Water-type Pokemon. Its first attack, Brine, does 90 damage to one Pokemon on your opponent's side of the field that already has damage counters on it. So very good. You can snipe things on the bench, super good. And then we also have Tornado Shot just for 1 water energy, 90 damage. Discard a water energy attached to this Pokemon. This attack does 30 damage to one of your bench. So we're getting that bench damage from the Tornado Shot, being able to use Brine after that. So we have some pretty likely partners that you guys, if you've never played the deck and think of off the top of your head, you're probably guessing them correct. The first one is going to be Tapu Koko Promo. Flying Flip. This attack does 20 damage for each of your opponents. We will never use Electro Ball. We don't have the energy to do it. So we're primarily this first attack. Like I said, 20 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So a very, very good attacker. Each of your opponent's Pokemon, sorry, not just bench, so the active and everything on the bench. And then we're also going to pair it with cards like Necrozma, whose GX attack does 100 to each of your opponent's Pokemon GX and EX. Cards like Tapu Fini. Tapu Storm is very good against things like Metagross and Gardevoir, where you can shuffle everything back into their deck, but also Hydro Shot, where you can do 120 damage to anything on the field. And then we're going to be pairing it also with Espeon EX, whose Miraculous Shine attack devolves everything on your opponent's side of the field. So when we're hitting some of those bigger stage 2 decks like Gardevoir and Metagross, we're able to go ahead and devolve things that already have a lot of that damage on there. So we maybe not be taking as many prize cards, but it's just as effective because you render those cards in their hand useless. So that's kind of the basic Pokemon lineup. We do also play 3 Tapu Lele GX. We got a 4-2-4 line of Kingdra, 2 of the Tapu Koko promos, and then a 2-2 Octillery line, Abyssal Hand you can draw until you have 5 cards. So that's going to be our Pokemon lineup. we're going to run a pretty easy energy line. We got 2 DCEs, 2 splash energies, and 6 water energies. The water energies obviously are going to be used with Kingdra. If possible, we can get those splash energies on there, especially the ones that have the Seadra, because getting that stage 2 or that stage 1 Pokemon into your hand after being knocked out is very important if you can, possibly, because you don't have all the rare candies that you're always going to. So the supporter line, pretty basic for today's standard. We got 4 Professor Sycamore, we got 3 Ends, we got 3 Guzmas, 1 Bridget, and that's going to be it for supporters. For item cards, we are playing that Pokemon Search, so we got 4 Ultra Balls, we're playing 1 Field Blower. Field Blower, the original list that we had didn't include a Field Blower, but you run into some really weird things every once in a while, where like discarding a Fighting Fury Belt can really help change the mode also. So, and Carbotoxin isn't the worst thing in the world for this deck, but it's definitely not fun, so being able to remove those float stones is a pretty big help. We play 2 copies of Max Potion in this deck. So after you use Tornado Shot, when you discard that energy, you do get the Max Potion, getting rid of all that energy, and then you can attack. 4 rare candies, pretty easy to figure out why we play a rare candy. To get those Kingdra into play right away on turn 2. We play 1 Super Rod. This is the only amount of recovery that we do actually have in the deck, so it is a pretty big deal that this isn't prized or that we don't toss it early. We do play 2 Potowns. This is going to be our stadium for the deck, so when any player plays a Pokemon from their hand to evolve one of their Pokemon, put 3 damage counters on this. Now you might be thinking, like, here's a stage 2 deck, why would you want this? So Kingdra only has 40 HP and a glaring weakness to the grass type. So almost everything in the meta that we're going to be worried about is going to be one-shotting Kingdra. So Kingdra's biggest downfall is that weakness to grass because of the ever-growing popularity of things like Golisopod and Tapu Bulu, and those are already some of the best decks in the format, so the fact that they're growing definitely does not bode well for Kingdra, but we are very excited. This is, I think, a pretty underrated Pokemon. I also am going to shout out some friends of ours who kind of gave me a really good starting point for this list. But Mark Albright over at Someone's PC wrote an article, a free article on Someone's PC, with a list kind of explaining a lot of the things as well. So if you're interested in the article side of things, that will be in the link in the description as well. So I kind of gave you guys a quick run through of the deck. There's not a whole lot of things in this deck that need explaining, not too many terrible tech cards. The biggest tech cards here are going to be Tapu Fini, because this is probably like the biggest question mark. I do keep it included. But besides this, everything is pretty regular. So we're going to jump into a game right here on the Versus ladder, see what we can find. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and jump into a game here, see what we can find. Hopefully, we can get a good game out of this for you guys, so you can get a really good idea of how the deck is supposed to look. Because Kingdra is one of those decks where it hurts itself more than it gets hurt by something else. So we do get the Tapu Koko start, which is honestly probably what we're hoping for. Plus we do have the natural Bridget in hand. So this, hopefully, if we don't get end, will be a good start. So we do see the Darkrai GX from our opponent, so we're probably playing against Turbo Dark here. So Turbo Dark is not the most fun matchup in the world. However, being able to spread the damage onto Turbo Dark is very good because they don't normally play a way to be able to heal them. So they do have that inner. Okay, so we do see the Baby Evil Talk, Oblivion Wing, being able to regenerate that energy. This is a card that's being cut in a lot of Turbo Dark lists. So we'll see. We do get the end, so that kind of hurts because we did have the natural Bridget. When I say natural Bridget, I mean we don't have to have a lay for it. So, and now we will have to lay for it. And it looks like we're going to end up throwing whatever we draw plus this Guzma probably. I would love. Okay, so we're going to throw Remoraid and Guzma. I would love to be able to Flying Flip here. But setting up right now is going to be a little bit more important. I don't think depending on what his hand looks like currently, I don't think we're in any immediate danger. But again, Turbo Dark is something that, okay, so we have one Remoraid in hand, so we're going to go ahead and grab 2 Horsies. And we are going to grab the Necrozma, because the Necrozma is going to be pretty big here. So we'll play down the Remoraid, and we will just go ahead and pass the turn. So the Necrozma with the Black Rage EX, putting 100 damage to all EXs and GXs is going to be huge, because everything does have 180 HP. So if we can get a Black Rage EX off, we can go ahead and we can just brine everything out. And it looks like they're probably going to try to hit the Necrozma right away. No, gonna go for the Remoraid instead. Alright. So the Remoraid, probably the right call there, because unless I'm able to evolve it this turn, it will take a knockout to Oblivion Wing. So we're going to get one Kingdra into play here, and then we're going to go ahead and Sycamore. So we do get... We're going to go ahead... We get the Octillery. We're going to go ahead, drop the energy here on the Necrozma. We're going to see if we can't bait it out a turn Field Blower by attaching this here. And then we'll go ahead. We'll Abyssal Hand for 1. Alright. Grab the Water Energy. So we're going to try to Black Ray GX. I'm hoping that we can get one more EX GX in play before I do it. So we do get the Field Blower bait. So playing items, like, you don't necessarily need them if it's just one. We play 3. So I'm not too overly worried about losing that choice band, because we do have 2 more. So, but baiting an early Field Blower before it's needed is a pretty big play. He probably didn't need to play that here, but he had the tool, he had it in his hand. A lot of times you can get people to misplay with their Field Blowers before they actually need them by playing an item out of turn. So now there are times where you shouldn't always do that, but this is a case where it is going to be a pretty big deal, because if we can, when we get our next ones, chances are he doesn't play more than 1 Field Blower. A lot of lists are moving to 2, and that is something I would have loved to fit a second one in here. This list is pretty tight as it is, so unfortunately we didn't. So I can only assume that he's not as well. So I'm pretty sure he already ended this turn. He's just grabbing another one next turn. So we are going to see the knock ray from the knockout, and he did put an EX/GX down. So we're going to put 300 damage on board with Black Ray GX here. I'm fine with losing the Octillery. Not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. We have the Kingdra. We're going to be able to Black Ray GX. We have another Kingdra here. I would love to be able to get this in play this turn. So I think he has an N. I want to make him use his supporter, but I'm thinking that we probably are going to have to do it for him. I don't want to use the Super Rod yet because the Octillery's not as needed. We will use our Field Blower here. Get rid of the Altar of the Moon and the Experience Share. Those Experience Shares are pretty deadly a lot of the times. So we're going to see if we can't get a second turn to play right away. We can. So he is up 1 prize, and chances are he will be able to get 2 more, but this is a pretty big move here. So we just put both Darkrai's and the Tapu Lele in knockout range by Brian. So this is what I mean when I say, like, this is a pretty big turn here. So what do we got? 140 damage on board, if I'm counting correctly. 170 now. So unless he can get another energy into play, we will actually live this attack. So we will need a max elixir here from him to be able to get it, or the Darkrai. So Darkrai has this really cool ability called Restoration, where if it's in the discard pile once per turn, you can pull it onto your bench with an energy. So it's pretty good at pairing itself with cards like Ultra Ball, Plumeria. I know once in a while we'll see a list with cards like Sophocles. But getting all this energy on here, and he did play his supporter, so we are going to lose the Necrozma here, but we are going to get to retaliate right away with one of these Kingdras. So this is a big deal. So I'm just like, basically at this point, we're just hoping that our opponent doesn't know what Kingdra does yet. So we're going to go ahead, promote Kingdra here, bench the Horsey. We don't need the other Tapu Koko, so we're going to do this. I think earlier in the match I said that one of the Kingdras were prized, so we should be able to find another one. I haven't used the Super Rad yet, so we're okay with tossing this one right now. Okay, so this is a pretty solid hand, so we're going to go ahead. We're actually going to brine the active one here because it does have the choice band. I didn't want a Tornado Shot just yet, so we'll take both these two prizes. Seadra, Water Energy. So if we can find a rare candy on one of these next coming turns, that'll be pretty big. So we've got 62 more here, yeah, 180 damage. I mean, plenty. There's not really ever going to be a time where I'm not expecting to get knocked out. So again, we're going to hope we can find a rare candy. Potown is basically going to be worthless in this matchup. So we're just going to drop the Seadra here. If we don't get end on the next turn, we'll win this game. So we're going to take the knockout. We're going to take the knockout on... We're going to take the knockout on the Lele. The Darkrai will be able to restore itself. The energy is already there. That does have the experience share. So we'll find the Seadra, we'll find the Sycamore. The only way he would, if he can knock out the Lele, if he can get a Guzma for Lele, we'll go ahead and lose this match. But if he can't do that, if he can't Guzma the Lele for the victory, we will go ahead and take the win as long as we don't get end. Even if we do get end, I would almost welcome that more than what I would welcome with Guzma right now. He'll probably go in for a Tapu Lele here. So we've got 60 damage, 80 damage, 100, 120, 140. So he still does need a little bit more help before we can see a knockout on the Lele. So a choice band would be something that he needs. So it'll be interesting to see what he goes for here. He goes for an end. So this is definitely the correct call by my opponent. Depending on what we draw here off the end, what we draw is going to either win or lose us the matchup. So if we can find any sort of draw supporter, Max Potion and Super Rod, not really ideal. So, and him having just enough, we will go ahead and put the Coco up here. Because him having just enough, if we can maybe stall one turn with the Lele. So the Ultra Ball is super huge here because we can go ahead and find a Lele. The Lele is going to allow us to grab that Sycamore. And if we can get the Kingdra, if we can get the energy, if we can get the things that we need, you're going to go ahead and see exactly the way that this deck is supposed to work. That is unfortunate. So we can do 30 damage here. 30 damage not going to be enough. But what we're going to have to do, unfortunately, is we are going to have to go ahead and retreat into one of these Leles. He's only doing 140 with Dark Pulse right now. So what we're going to have to do is hope that he cannot knock this out. So if we can stall out one turn. So he's at 160. If he can get another energy into player choice band. Okay, so he got exactly what he needed. Unfortunately, we're not going to pick up the win here, but you guys saw exactly how this deck is supposed to work. If we could have grabbed one of those Ultra Balls, another one of those Kingdras, that would have been super clutch. We would have been able to take the win. We didn't get it here. Overall, this was a good game. We didn't get the win, but like I said, you guys saw exactly how this deck is supposed to work. Kingdra is super rogue, but I do think has a lot of potential. My list, like I said, can be tweaked a little bit. You know, you guys, you can have it. You have the picture of the list. Plus, like I said, in the description below is a link to someone's PC article highlighting this list as well, giving a little bit more insight what you can find than maybe what I was able to do here. But this is just the first episode of the 8 deck labs that I'm going to be giving you guys on the lists that we're taking into the meta matchup with Purple Cliff. Again, you guys, unfortunately, this video is going to come out after the meta matchup is live with Jack. But what you guys can go ahead and do is you can find it on his YouTube channel, again, which will be in the description below. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's DeckLab. That is all we have for you. So you guys, for myself, my name is Dan. We'll see you for the next episode. We will see you next time.